morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
As another year winds down, we'll look back on the best of 2017 today with some highlights from the conversations, the poems, and the music we were able to bring you in our 25th year of being on the air. And, of course, the best of Baxter Black. Some wonderful new music came out this year. A Canadian cowboy got the award for Song of the Year from the Western Music Association. And we lost some legendary figures as well. Gonna start with an album that came out early in the year from Les Frick, the song One More Day to Ride.
Soft glow of the lantern lights up the wagon like a beacon that beckons on a sagebrush sea. For a while it's our home, and I must say I've grown to love this life on the trail. As I turn old Buck in with the cabby, and he trots off to join up for the night. Just then a smile comes on my face as I think about the day and the big-hearted horses that I ride. But we wake before the dawn, a big stretch and you're up and gone. Stow your bedroll in the wagon for the night. Grab a few biscuits and some bacon, there's no time for wasting. Wash it all down with a cup of coffee, and you're headed for the rope corral. Soon he's standing by your side, so you pull the cinch up tight. Cowboy, your leg is cleared, the kennel one more time. Looks like you've been given one more day to ride. As I stow away my gear, around the firelight I hear voices in a meter, soft and low. Well, that fire warms my soul as Jim cites another poem about a puncture he knew so long ago. Wouldn't trade this life that I'm living to ride out in country some men have never seen. And I'm earning my wages as a cowboy, and that friend's worth $1,000,000 to me. With a good horse between my knees and the Lord at my side, I ain't just surviving another day. I'm living the life that is free. But we wake before the dawn, a big stretch and you're up and gone. Stow your bedroll in the wagon for the night. Grab a few biscuits and some bacon, there's no time for wasting. Wash it all down with a cup of coffee, and you're headed for the rope corral. Soon he's standing by your side, so you pull the cinch up tight. Cowboy, your leg is cleared, the cattle one more time. Looks like you've been given one more day to ride. Looks like you've been given one more day to ride. Ride, ride, under that blue sky. Ride, cowboy, ride. Thank you, Lord, for one more day to ride.
This conversation, heard early in 2017, was actually recorded almost a year earlier at the Ivan Danes Country Music Picnic and Open Trainers Challenge. I cornered cowboy Travis Beaton, who was one of the judges that we worked with, and Travis rides for the big McIntyre Ranch in southern Alberta, but I'd forgotten to take my recording machine to that session. So I tried doing it on the smartphone, and we did, but It took me a long time to figure out how to get it off the phone and into the show. Anyhow, I sure enjoyed what Travis had to say about riding colts and cowboying on the legendary McIntyre Ranch.
Well, I'll never forget the first colt that I started working for Kevin Pohl. It was a big bay quarter horse. Boy, he'd been 16-2 or better, 2 or 3 year old, something like that. And I remember we brought him in the first day, and we did a little bit of work in the arena with him on the ground, got him saddled, and I got on him, and that horse bucked me off 5 times in a row, as slick as can be. And the last time, he'd have bucked me off a lot quicker if he'd have just figured out how to get out from underneath of me. I was spread eagled over the saddle a couple of times, just clawing like a cat trying to get away from him, and he was just an absolutely really troubled horse. He really hadn't had the opportunity, I think, up to that point to really quiet down and use his head a little bit. And we got through him, and you know what? That's probably the best horse I think I've ever been on. By the time we got done, it was such a difference from day one to the time he left. That horse was a completely different horse. So that one, probably more than anything, really sold me on the horsemanship stuff. Right. And using kind of what I like to call neck-up horsemanship. Use your head a little bit, It's easier on the body, too,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we trust our lives to them, when we're out there with a job to do, and a lot of the time we're just out there all by ourselves, and we got a great big circle to ride, and we trust that old pony to bring us home at the end of that day.
Absolutely. Trust is the number one thing, and horsemanship is all about communication. And the number one most important thing about communication, being married, you'd understand this, is listening. And understanding what you're being told. And them horses will tell you anything that you want, provided that you really listen to them.
Yeah.
And when they understand that, number one, that you're paying attention to them and you're listening to them and catching all them little cues, boy, they come around pretty quick and want to come to the dance. We've seen it today in this Trainer's Challenge and over the last 3 days, we've seen it with Scott here on that colt he had. Boy, he sure had a hard time trying to get things through that horse, but I think at the end of the day, he's got something done.
Well, the McIntyre almost borders on Montana, and early in 2017 I received a good album from the High Country Cowboys, 3 talented brothers who ride and make music in Montana, and here's the first track you heard, Montana Trail.
The moon's hanging low as winds start to blow, and day slowly comes to an end. The sun's going down, casting shadows around. I'll camp for the night round the bend. The wind in the trees sings a soft melody. Out yonder a coyote wails. The stars come inside, saying camp for the night, as I ride the Montana Trail. Campfire gleams, embers are glowing, night birds are singing a tune. Nearby stream is gently flowing as I lie and look at the moon. The sky says that day's drawing nigh, as darkness of night sheds its veil. And with the dawn, it's time to move on, as I ride the Montana Trail. that day's drawing nigh, as darkness of night sheds its veil, and with the dawn it's time to move on, as I ride the Montana Trail.
Coming up, a visit with Rex Allen Jr. from a conversation Chico and I had in 2017, and one we had with the daughter of Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, with some memories of her folks and, of course, Trigger. When the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West. Rex Allen Jr. wrapped up his farewell tour at Rex Allen Days in Wilcox, Arizona last October. And that was an event that started many years ago, of course, to honor his famous father in the town close to the ranch where Rex Sr. grew up. In the summer of 2017, the phone rang here, and it was Rex Jr. He calls every so often, and we always have a great visit. And you'll hear some of that conversation after his wonderful tribute to our silver screen cowboy heroes.
Cowboys and outlaws on big movie screens, good guys and bad guys and horses with names, gone not forgotten, just rode out of town, and all are a part of my memory now. Saturday mornings, the posse would meet with cap guns and bicycles out in the street. We'd all dress like cowboys and go get in line to cheer for our heroes just one more time. Where are the heroes for my boy today? Who'll make the memories for him when he's gray? Will he never ride on the range like I did? Will he ever learn what it means to have heroes? Box tops and coupons I'd send for far away, for an autographed picture I still have today. I'll never forget the day he came to town, and I got to follow my hero around. Where are the heroes for my boy today? Who'll make the memories for him when he's gray? Will he never ride on the range like I did? Will he ever learn what it means to have heroes? To have heroes, to have heroes.
I got to tell you, I love a lot of your Facebook posts, especially your Throwback Thursdays, where you'll put up a post from, or even a movie clip or something, and then some very informed comments about it. I just love that stuff.
Well, I do. Yeah, I do. I try to. And, you know, that's one of the things I think that people, you know, probably don't know or understand. And Dusty Rogers, Roy Jr. and I have talked about it for every time we meet. We always end up talking about the same thing. You know, Dusty didn't have any. Dusty wore nothing but Roy Rogers underwear until he was 15.
I've heard that.
You know, Rogers sheets, that sort of stuff. Well, I fortunately didn't have to do that, but we talked about it. Back in the day when Dad was doing the films at Republic and stuff like that. See, I was only 5 or 6 years old, and 7, 8 even, and every weekend we would have some magazine in shooting pictures inside the house. And, me, watching Dad shine boots or loading this and doing that and so on and so forth. And that's kind of the way our weekends were when I was a kid growing up. We didn't have a lot of time. Dad dressed us up like little cowboys and we'd go shoot pictures, with some magazine someplace. And Dusty went through the same thing. It's almost like, well, wait a minute. The only problem I've got, Hugh, is that, some of the outfits that Dad had made for me and my brother Curtis, I wish I still had them. I don't know what the heck happened to them, but some of them are, they were made by Nudie.
Yeah.
All of mine and Dusty's stuff, they were all made by Nudie, but I have no idea whatever happened to them.
Oh, my goodness.
Mom probably sold them in a darn yard sale.
Somebody else's kids are wearing them somewhere now. Maybe.
Somebody else's kids are wearing them. Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Just a huge crowd gathered there at Wilcox, Arizona for Rex Jr.'s farewell performance. Well, we lost some legends in 2017. One of them, a guy who won the Western Music Association Award as Entertainer of the Year and Male Vocalist of the Year a few years back. And he is such an amazing guitar player that he probably could have got the Instrumentalist of the Year, too. He had a stroke last year that made it impossible for him to play his guitar anymore, and then, sadly, we lost Bill Barwick last month.
I paid my dime, took my seat, watched him right across the silver screen, catching the bad guys, saving the town. Life was a whole lot better when Roy Rogers was around. Lord, it was a different time back then. Life was good and men were men. Never had no worries, never saw a frown. Life was a whole lot better when Roy Rogers was around. Roy never gave up, he never gave in, never backed down, he'd always win. Never compromised with the bad guys, nobody pushed him around. Life was a whole lot better when Roy Rogers was around. Now life was a whole lot sweeter then. Skies seemed bluer and the grass was greener. Nothing bad ever lasted long, nothing much got you down. Life was a whole lot better when Roy Rogers was around. I still see Roy riding in my dreams. Trigger and Dave would still look the same. Got me through some hard times, saw me safe and sound. Life was a whole lot better when Roy Rogers was around. Roy never gave up, he never gave in, never backed down, he'd always win. Never compromised with the bad guys, nobody pushed him around. Life was a whole lot better. Life was a whole lot better. Life was a whole lot better when Roy Rogers was around.
Boy, are we going to miss Bill Barwick. And do we ever miss Roy and Dale? One of the highlights of 2017 was when Roy and Dale's daughter Cheryl Rogers Barnett called, and as we always do, we talked about her folks.
Well, Dad was a great athlete. It always amazed me. When we moved out to Encino, the house that we bought, and that was in 1950. The house that we bought had a tennis court. I don't know that Dad had ever played tennis before, but, I mean, you would have thought that he had taken lessons from the top pros. I mean, he was so fluid, and I think, in fact, listening to my husband, who was an athlete in high school and college, a lot of it had to do with Dad's peripheral vision. He had incredible eyesight. His far vision was just incredible, and great reflexes. So he could take up just about any sport and beat anybody that wasn't a pro at that sport. So that's a real gift, and that's how he was on Trigger. But he said, too, you know, when he and the old man met, because old Trigger was a rental horse, and they met at the studio, Dad said from the moment he threw his leg over him, he just felt one with that horse. And that continued on with Little Trigger that did all the tricks and stuff. I mean, Dad was a great rider.
Well,
and it was something natural because he'd never had a lesson. And as a kid, he didn't have a good horse. He rode a plow horse.
And bareback with no saddle.
Yeah, no saddle.
Well, even in the, nobody thought when they were editing these original movies that we would be watching them in freeze framing and going back and watching in slow motion to see when the scene was cut and when the double came in. You can kind of see some of that now, and I've watched very closely, and on some scenes where Roy is on Trigger, galloping full out, he takes down his rope and he builds a loop and he's swinging his rope at a full gallop, and you can tell that is not a stunt double. That's Roy doing that,
Yeah, he was really good, although I must say, Joe Yurgoen, stunt double, and then later Bill Ketching. I mean, they were both really good. Now, with Joe, I can tell the difference because Joe was a little smaller and much stockier than Dad was. With Bill Ketching, they were about the same size and build, and I really can't tell Ketching as much. Yeah.
Welcome back to the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West. Picking out the best of Baxter Black is always a daunting task, but we ran the selections by our committee that consisted of my wife Billy, our horses, Stanley, Cody, and Lucky, the cows, and the barn cats, and here's their selection for the best of Baxter.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan. If your group or association is planning a meeting and are on a thrifty budget, check out Virtual Video Baxter. That's me. I'll video a personalized welcome, then furnish several humorous stories to run between your speakers. Sign books can be used as auction items. We've done rodeos, museums, bull sales, the Conservation Service. Use your imagination. Virtual Video Baxter. Give us a call, 800-654-2550 at baxterblack.com. Miles and his wife decided to buy 40 head of yearling heifers. They planned to synchronize their heat cycles and breed them artificially. They got the synchromate B and scheduled a breeding date. Well, Miles had intentions to reinforce and repair his corral, but he got busy with other things. So when the neighbor showed up to help, his working facility still looked like the deck of an abandoned trawler. They corralled the heifers and started them up the crowd alley toward the chute. Being smallish, the crew actually managed to get 24 head loaded at one time, before the inside wall broke and fell over with a thud. The heifers trampled over the downboards and escaped back into the corral. Well, Miles grabbed a chunk of tow chain from his pickup bed. With the neighbor's help, he pushed the side of the alley upright and secured it across the top with a chain. It held while they ran the heifers back through and applied the rest of the implants. 9 days later, Miles enlisted the help of his long-suffering wife, Linda, to remove the implant pellets. She was working the head gate. He was often forced to get behind the heifers in the alley and push them up, and Linda constantly reminded him about the chain. Well, by the time they were down to the last 2 heifers, Linda was working at the head end with the flashlight. Miles had meant to get the floodlight fixed too, but every time he thought of it, it was broad daylight. The last heifer turned around in the chute and ran back over the top of Miles. for the second time. He ran after her, cursing, and chased her back up the alley, screaming and whacking at her with a flat stick. He reared back with his arm at full gallop, just as Linda said, "Watch out for the..." Miles hit the chain just about pencil pocket high. His feet shot straight out, his chin hooked the chain, and he stopped short of making a complete counterclockwise revolution when gravity overcame velocity and he dropped from the air like a hog carcass from a C-47. Plop. The heifer whirled and galloped over him like a footlog. Well, 2 years have passed. Miles still has good intentions, but a lot of cows have passed under that chain since then, and this is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan.
Experience the true Spirit of the West at Canada's largest Western store, Irvine Tack and Western Wear. If you need a curb strap or a 4-star gooseneck trailer, you'll find it here. A saddle for every rider. Cutters, reiners, penners, trainers, working ranch cowboys, ropers. They have over 1,200 in stock. And they have Western wear for the entire family. And how about a gift card? Shop online at irvinesaddles.ca. Free shipping on orders of over $100. irvinesaddle.ca, 1-877-946-9494. How about a weekend pass to the 22nd Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 15th to 18th, 2018. A terrific list of entertainers, including Gary Prescott.
I once rode with the best of the cowboys back in the days of my youth.
Brian Solomon.
So who would pack the lantern? There are some buckaroos that would pack it tall and proud just like we need to do.
Tom Cole.
Out on the plains an old cowboy sings a song to his herd.
The BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, evening concerts, a wonderful art and gear show, the Art of the West show and sale, workshops, and everything from guitar picking to saddle making. The best place to get all the details is bcchs.com, and for tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. I got a real nice album in 2017, and I think it must have been recorded when the moon was full. The group is called Over the Moon, and the song is Alberta Moon.
When the sun sets over the Rockies, stars come shining through. An old coyote calls, calling out the moon. The cattle start to settle down, making sure they have a view. The stage is set for an old Alberta moon. That's when I grab my gal and we ride off into heaven. Sometimes it feels like this whole world was made for me. While the horses play, a hoot owl says hoot hoot from a tall pine tree. You sure can't beat an old Alberta moon. Sometimes it seems so far away, just a sliver in the sky. And times it's a great red balloon, you could rope it if you tried. That's when my sweetheart's eyes start to sparkle, and I can't help but swoon. You sure can't beat an old Alberta moon. You know that I was born to be riding fences, night when I look up, I feel all my senses. You just can't beat an old Alberta moon. Yeah, tonight when I look up, I feel all my senses. Just can't beat an old Alberta moon.
At the big main event Horse Expo in Red Deer last April, we had a chance to tour the trade show, and I came across my old friend, Dr. Larry Frischke, veterinarian, who was really excited about a brand new product that reduces the amount of pain calves feel when they're branded.
So the ropers bring a calf in, and he's on the ground, and you step up there, and ideally the first thing you do is get this painkiller into him. How long does it take for it to take effect?
Our data shows that we'll be up to therapeutic effects within 15 minutes. For an oral product, it's pretty amazing. And it will last for out to close to 3 days or a little more. We don't really know on the top end altogether, but that is just the perfect window that we need to cover on these little guys, because it often takes these little bull calves 2 to 3 days to get up and going again so that you can move them to summer pasture or whatever it is you need to do.
Would it have other applications besides what they're subjected to at brandings?
Well, again, the only thing that is on our label claim is it's for pain mitigation of either surgical or band castration, right? But veterinarians have picked up on this a lot, and they're using it for a lot of other painful procedures like tough calvings, C-sections. A lot of things we've done in the past. I said this at a meeting the other day, Hugh. I've done some awful damn painful things to cattle, and I've usually had it hidden under a nerve block, right?
Right.
But once that lidocaine wears off in a half hour, so those poor old boys and girls were on their own.
Even, I'm thinking, dehorning of older animals.
Well, exactly. Dehorning is another big thing, and now we've got something that will cover that, and it's feedlots have picked up on it big time for even things like foot rot or peracute pneumonias and all these things. Anything involving
right into a
pain.
Snag or something, and it's it's got to be pulled out. Oh, fascinating.
Yeah,
great stuff.
It's been one of the neatest products I've worked with in all my years of being a vet. So it goes back a ways.
Well, if you're coming through BC again, give us a call. The coffee will be on for sure, and we'll sit down and talk some more.
That will be great. We're looking forward to this spring. I'm getting a bunch of brandings lined up just to try to get out to places we didn't get to last year. And out of the 20 we dealt with last year, there's not a single one that said that they would ever go back to doing a branding without it. So it's the way of the future. We got to embrace this kind of technology because
and it's definitely coming, and these developments are just wonderful for what they do for the animals that we love.
It's an eye-opener to see what it can do for them. So, and I mean, we all care for the cattle we raise. We know that. And it's just the right thing to do for what we have available right now.
I just wonder if that old cowboy's out there and this horse steps right on his foot and the toenail goes black and his foot swells up. Could he give himself a dose?
I had several old cowboys come up at the end of brandings and said that, does this shit work on us too? And my answer said, yeah, I'm sure it does. And they said, well, if you've got some left, we'll give you all a shot. To be truthful, I am actually on the same active ingredient.
Are you really?
Right now. So it is meloxicam is sort of an anti-arthritic or this kind of thing for humans. So there is a human component too.
All right. Great to run into you, Larry.
Hey, and always good to have a chat.
Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
We sure will. Thanks again.
Still to come, more of our great conversations and best new music of the last 12 months, as well as our pick for the best piece of cowboy poetry when the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West. Matt Robertson is one of the best ranch bronc riders you'll ever see, and he's cowboyed all over the West from Wyoming to Alberta and beyond. And in the last few years, his singing and songwriting and stage presence has really blossomed. At the big Western Music Association annual festival and award ceremonies in Albuquerque, New Mexico last month, when it came time to present the award for 2017 Pure Cowboy Song of the Year, it was for this one, Frigid, High and Lonesome from Matt Robertson.
Hot coffee is waiting, he's contemplating moving to a country where the mercury don't drop. Looks forward to summer, why he don't leave you wonder. He must love this life or he's too dumb to stop. His spurs they're jingling, his toes they're tingling, frosty breath rises like warm chimney smoke. He's calving cows on stormy nights. He's been riding since daylight. Trots for the house, but he'd sure like to load. They call it a country where a cowboy is king, where peaceful days ride is easy on your mind. He wonders if he can hold out one more frigid, high, lonesome winter time. He cusses the snow, but he's still gotta go. To shirk any task would be a blow to his pride. But the winters seem colder, each year he grows older, making him as bitter as the wind outside. They call it a country where a cowboy is king, where peaceful days ride is easy on your mind. He wonders if he can hold out one more frigid, high, lonesome winter time. Old wounds that once mended, the pain he thought ended, return each season with the coming of the storm. And old flames he had kindled, he once thought long dwindled, return late at night, but no longer are warm. They call it a country where a cowboy is king, and a peaceful day's ride is easy on your mind. He wonders if he can hold out one more frigid, high, lonesome, oh, so lonesome, that frigid, high, lonesome winter time.
Western Music Association Pure Cowboy Song of the Year from Matt Robertson. And Matt told me about one small part of a day's ride last year.
I do recall when I worked at Medicine Lake up in the bush there in Winfield, we were gathering bulls in the fall, and anyways, I took after this one. We had two Charolais bulls, and one went one way and one went the other, and if you ever handled bulls in the bush, you know, you can't just ride wherever you want, so they kind of go where they go, and you follow along and do the best you can. And anyway, this one particular bull got into a pasture that we called the West Bush for a good reason, and he got down in the trees, and I was riding kind of a green horse, and we got down in the bush, and he kind of got bushed up and turned around and charged me and smashed me up against a tree and my horse and everything. So I kind of thought maybe I'd try something different, so I took some long sticks and I sharpened the end, and I kind of put one over here and one over there. And anyway, I went around with this bull doing a little bit of jousting for a little while.
Were you still on your horse?
Yeah. And then he took to the open, but I knew by the way he was traveling, he didn't want to leave. He was just sucked up against the trees, so being the smart guy I was, I jerked my rope down and roped him, and he went into the tree.
Good choice.
Yeah, I was really going to be a cowboy that day. And he got into the trees, and by the time I got everything stopped, my horse was pulled up against a tree, and everything was tight. And anyway, as soon as my horse started to kind of go down, my saddle was a bit loose. I popped my dallies, and by that time I was kind of frustrated, and I guess you could say I was angry, and so I bailed off on foot, and I went running through the bushes after this bull, and I caught the end of my rope and got it around a tree and got him stopped, and he choked there for a little while, and then he got mad and charged me, and when he went by, he hit the end of the rope, and my rope broke, so I happened to have another metal Hondu in my pocket, so I tied it into this about 20-foot rope, and I headed for my horse, and then I thought, all of a sudden the light came on, maybe I should start using my head, so I tied my rope back on my saddle, and I rode in quiet, and I found this bull, and I don't really know what mountain lions sound like, but I was trying to sound like one, and I was making wolf sounds and grizzly bear growls, and the more I did that, the more that sucker's head came up, and he got kind of nervous, and about 20 minutes of me following him around, growling and stuff, he lit out and headed all the way to headquarters, and I just followed him in. So maybe I used my head, I don't know.
That might have been a little better than having him on the end of about a 20-foot rope or 15 feet from your horse.
I spared myself some agony and my horse, too.
Yeah. It does my heart good seeing good young cowboys like Matt Robertson carrying on our beloved ranching traditions. How about a weekend pass to the 22nd Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 15th to 18th, 2018. A terrific list of entertainers, including Gary Prescott.
I once rode with the best of the cowboys back in the days of my youth.
Brian Salmon.
So who would pack the lantern? There are some buckaroos that would pack it tall and proud just like we need to do.
Tom Cole.
Out on the plains, an old cowboy sings a song to his herd.
The BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, evening concerts, a wonderful art and gear show, the Art of the West show and sale, workshops, and everything from guitar picking to saddle making. The best place to get all the details is bcchs.com, and for tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. Another one of the fine new collections of contemporary songs of the West arrived in October from Gene and Gary Prescott. The album title is Satisfied Hearts. Gary, who, by the way, will be at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival in March, rode for the famous Pitchfork Ranch in Texas, and Daryl Arnold wrote these words. Gary set them to music, a tribute to the Pitchfork Grays.
It was not so strange on the Pitchfork Ranch to find a gray in a cowboy's string. You could always bet he was from the ghetto, their stud Joe Bailey's king. Now the gray I rode sure pulled his load, not a job he could not do. I could rope and cut, really crack the nut on the gray horse I call Blue. In the golden haze of those Texas days when the pitchfork trails were new, we were young and proud and we bragged out loud to be part of the pitchfork crew. Through dust and heat and the tall mesquite, we rode sorrels, browns, and bays. But we felt the best as if we'd been blessed when we forked those pitchfork grays. Well, you give your best till it's time to rest. You get stiff and your vision blurs. You passed your prime and you know it's time that you quit and hang up your spurs. I felt sad and old when my bed I rolled. 'Twas the only life I knew. But it made my day when I heard them say, you done good, just keep old Blue. In the golden haze of those Texas days when the pitchfork trails were new, we were young and proud and we bragged out loud to be part of the pitchfork crew. Through dust and heat and the tall mesquite, we rode sorrels, browns, and bays. But we felt the best as if we'd been blessed when we forked those pitchfork grays. Was a good cayuse, so I turned Blue loose. He deserved to work no more. He was 28 when he broke the gate and came up to the big barn door. Came home to die, how my heart did cry on that cold and bitter day. I'm a-telling you that I sure was blue when I lost my pitchfork gray. In the golden haze of those Texas days when the pitchfork trails were new, we were young and proud and we bragged out loud to be part of the pitchfork crew. Through dust and heat and the tall mesquite, we rode sorrels, browns, and bays. But we felt the best as if we'd been blessed when we forked those pitchfork grays. When we forked those pitchfork grays. When we forked those pitchfork grays.
Good cowboy, good singer, good songwriter, and you're going to love Gary Prescott at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival in March. Still to come, another one of the best songs of 2017 and our pick for the best piece of cowboy poetry. When the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Two beloved legends of the West rode across the Great Divide in 2017, Harry Vold and Winston Bruce. And Ivan Daines wrote and recorded this touching tribute song.
There's a sad breeze blowing across the rodeo sheet. We think of the friends and loved ones that somehow bring a tear. Their memories and stories we've all told so many times. I feel compelled to tell about two great ones that were so fine. Harry Bold was bigger than life, much laughter and few fears. His broncs and bulls were the best in the world, year after year. He started trailing broncs to the Ponoka Stampede. Great auctioneer, Colorado ranks stretch far as the eyes can see. Started in life in Forestburg on the eastern Alberta plains. Father Lawrence raised buck and stock, his savvy brought him fame. Young Winston learned to ride so great, just a youngster in rodeo. Everyone knew he'd be great someday, all he had to do was go. He became world champ and Canadian champ in the saddle bronc riding game. Compared to Casey Tibb, Champ Deb, Marty Wood, Kenny McLean. When he quit bronc riding, he was head boss of the Calgary Stampede. Started raising buck and horses so great, their bloodlines we still see. Now we stand in honor of these two great famous men. Harry Vold and Winston Bruce we'll never see again, but they both left their mark on life for all of us to see. I guess you would say they were the kind of men help keep our spirits free. I guess you could say they were the kind of men help keep our spirits free.
And once again, our selection committee of barn cats, horses, cows, and my wife Billy picked this as the top piece of cowboy poetry for 2017. It's B.J. Smith and Parkin' the RV.
All of you snowbirds that fly down south or have already come back or go to RV parks in the summertime, you'll know that there is this event that takes place in RV parks time after time after time. It's the next guy that comes in, and it seems to take the whole neighborhood to get him parked into his stall, whether he wants it or not. You with me? Well, I was in this RV campground not all that long ago, and what I seen was better than any TV show. See this fifth-wheel trailer and a dually diesel Dodge. Rumbled through the front gate to find a place to lodge, and then down the lane it idled. The missus by his side. West Coast mirrors all focused, and the trailer 8 feet wide. Now, years of driving tractor was etched upon his face, but he looked some uneasy. See, the ranch was more his pace, 'cause he was plenty handy at backing up a Massey to where the drawbar lines up a cultivator chassis, and he could run a combine, sitting up there high, picking swaths up centered while unloading on the fly, but parking this here RV with strangers around to watch made backing up a nightmare he didn't want to botch. Well, the missus, always helpful, out of the truck she got. Without hesitation, marched straight to his blind spot. Then, making tiny gestures as if it were in Braille, she motioned him to back up with her. He couldn't fail, except for she had vanished completely from his sight. So he uttered a frustration that put her on the fight. Well, then he praised her efforts to soften up the tension while mumbling some other things out loud he didn't mention. Then a neighbor, uninvited, a stranger to them yet, waved his arms, resembling the guy who parks a jet. And as they saw each other, since he looked in the mirror, left and right was backwards. It made it tough to steer. About then, the missus' motions commenced to come in view. Signals not in one mirror now, but visible in two, and now enthusiasm was dancing on her face. Her hand waved like a metronome. Her version of erase. Well, to him, all her waving just meant that she approved, so he didn't see the hydrant that his trailer just removed. All along about the fourth try, he gave a hearty yelp that cleared the space behind him of uninvited help, and then, driving off indignant like ranchers sometimes do, he headed for the designated sites marked "Just Pull Through." Thank you very much.
So there you have the best of 2017 from the Spirit of the West. And wait till you hear what we've got coming up in 2018, which will be our 26th year on the air. And as always, thanks so much to our support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan, to the advertisers who keep us on the air, and to our wonderful neighbors who went way above and beyond the call of duty this winter. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.